Hello and welcome back to Common Disco Diffusion Errors Part 2, Cuda Errors. So before we hop into things here, if you like my videos, please feel free to drop me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get the this channel monetized, and that'd help me out a lot. Excellent. Getting into things here. So Cuda errors are going to be one of the most common errors that you hit as you're going through Disco Diffusion. One of the most common things that you're going to hit, but at the same time, one of the easiest ones to fix. So these errors are typically phrased as the following. Let me pull down this. They are typically phrased as your CUDA out of memory, tried to allocate X of total capacity, and basically you don't have that amount available. Now, one of the first things that you can do to check on this is going to be to go up to see what kind of GPU you've been allocated. If you are on a free account, I believe you can actually only get K80s or T4s. And to give you the actual order of operations here, the worst GPU that you can get is a K80, followed, and then going up, you get the T4, which is slightly better, the P100, the V100, and then finally the A100. To get some of those higher quality GPUs, you do have to be on Google Colab Pro or Google Colab Pro Plus. So if you are on a free plan, every once in a while you can get lucky with a P100, but nothing above that. So I will say if you are on a K80, I recommend trying to get a T4. The way that you can actually try to do that is by going to Manage Sessions, terminating your session, and then reloading the page. That'll bring back the, that'll give you a new GPU. So as that obviously will erase a lot of the progress you've made on the page, make sure you're doing this check before you're actually running your code. Excellent. So first things, or next thing after that is going to be your resolution. That is probably the second largest driving factor in driving CUDA errors. When I see people do these, to drive this error, I actually just put in this insane number of, an aspect ratio of 12,800 by 12,800. But that is actually that's obviously well beyond what, a measly T4 can manage. So in this instance, what you'd probably want to do is scale down to some type of increment of 64. Note that it will need to be some increment of 64 in order for you to get the aspect, the width-height ratio correct, and then run again. Personally, I run on smaller frames across the board just because I tend to make most of these for my own work rather than going to go try to print them or share them in large digital formats. So I recommend trying that one next. Next up after that is going to be the models. For your model settings, you can choose a number of models, and I'll go through in a later video here exactly which models I use when. But the first thing you need to know for now is just if you keep running into CUDA errors, just keep scaling back the number of models. And whatever you do, don't try to run RN50x64. That will max out your GPU no matter what, unless you're running it locally and have plenty of GPU to play with. So these three that it comes as set default, the 32, the 16, and the RN50, these all work great. I see no reason why you need to get more complex than that if you're just getting into things. I will then, obviously I was saying I'll go into a video later on this. The other one that will actually increase the runtime is using a secondary model. If you're running a small step, when I say small step, I mean a small number of total steps run, using the secondary model sometimes actually can produce worse results, but that's just my personal experience, and you can kind of play with that and see what you think. The last thing that actually can be a factor here is going to be cut and batches, this field right here. So cut and batches, this is obviously getting a little bit more into advanced settings, but if you mess with this and set this a little bit too high, this can cause issues. I recommend reducing that down if you did play with it. I don't think that most people play with this when they're just getting into Disco Diffusion, which I'm guessing most of you are if you're on this video. But I think that's everything. Let me go ahead and call it here. If you have any additional questions, please toss them in the comments, and I will try to respond to you when I can. Thanks. Bye.